I think we are exactly in time and we will let the party begin. Again, thank you so much, everyone. This is the Speaker's Pulse, the place where speaking actually matters. We know that words are more than words, and therefore, as leaders, as communicators, we try to make sense of everything that there is to make, especially in the early area of leadership and communication. Therefore, the Speaker's Pulse is definitely a home for everyone that wants to learn a thing or two about leadership, about communication, so that hopefully one or two things could add value to your professional life, to your social life, and to your leadership journey. Every fortnight, so every 2 weeks, we convene here to talk about matters quite important. We bring to you topics that are along the areas of leadership and communication, and we bring in wonderful friends, experts most of the times, leaders themselves, and communicators to share their own expertise, share their own views about the topic at hand. And for the last 9 episodes, or 8 episodes actually, we've talked about themes around public speaking, around developing your confidence, how to deal with the fear of speaking. We've talked about this very topic slightly, about how emotional intelligence can actually aid your communication skills as a speaker. And today we are talking about emotional intelligence as a tool for leadership. Many a times we've had this word, this buzzword of emotional intelligence being rubbed into our faces. Apparently, it's a new cool. It's a new thing around the block for leadership. It's a new magic button that leadership always have to press, or perhaps the new goal that the leaders have to have. But often little is explained about it. And today at the Speaker's Pulse, we're going to do the brave and attempt to understand and explain what the emotional intelligence truly is. Again, if you're new to this wonderful channel, kindly subscribe, and let's always give you a chance to get you the most update links when we get online, so that you don't miss anything. But also you can always come back to your channel, which is the Speaker's Pulse, and view, or perhaps if you miss anything, you'll get a chance to catch it immediately after you have actually come back to check on it. Again, my friends, you're very much welcome. And today at the Speaker's Pulse, like I mentioned, we will be talking about emotional intelligence as a tool for leadership. Now, like I mentioned, it's going to be a 3-part conversation where we talk about, or today we'll be introducing it. We'll try to understand from the experts that I've come with today, from wonderful friends as well. And later on, we hope that at least by the time you leave this conversation, you, my friend, will be an expert at understanding emotional intelligence, and you hopefully can explain it to other people, but most importantly, you can actually use it for your own leadership journey, for your own good. And that's what we are all here for at the Speaker's Pulse. Without further ado, therefore, I'd like to introduce to you my wonderful friends, 2 great leaders, people that I've personally worked with and still enjoy calling friends of mine, and people that are passionate about people. That's quite interesting, isn't it? They are people that love to get the best out of people, and they enjoy to sit and watch the wonders that people can actually be, the wonders that people can perform. I begin with my good brother Nicolas. Nicolas Munza is currently a consultant, in the area of international development. I just recently learned that both of my panelists are actually sociologists by training. These people are trained to help us become better people. And I know Nicolas has taken on several leadership responsibilities, both professionally, but also in the community. He's definitely been a beacon of leadership in many spaces, and he's helped most of us, including myself, become better versions of ourselves. And therefore, if there's any man that embodies the quality of tonight, emotional intelligence, Nicolas is one of them. Now, there's another friend of mine that I have also loved to, I've got to know as a very wonderful friend. I know Doughton as an enthusiast about leadership, just like Nicolas, but most importantly, loves to get the best out of people. She is, get ready for this, my friends, get ready. She is a courageous coach, right? Isn't she the first person you've had that is a courageous coach in your life? Don't lie to us. Just tell us the truth, my friend. She could be your very number one courageous coach that you know. Yeah, in addition to that, she's also a consultant and she goes around the world helping different organizations build better strategies, think right, and find solutions for their challenges, especially the challenges that are customized to their situation. She has an interesting model that I would really encourage you to reach out to her whenever you have an opportunity, especially those of you that are organization leaders. Talk to her, and I'm sure she will definitely advise. But you know what? Today is not a time of CVs or anything. I know both panelists here as passionate leaders, and they, in my view, have studied emotional intelligence, and they have also helped or explain it to many people. But today, you are going to be one of those many people that learn from a wonderful panel. Now, in no way do I think that I do justice in explaining to you who these people are. And that's why I'm going to simply give you a glimpse, give you a chance to listen to one or the first of our panelists. And I'm going to begin with you, Nicolas. Please tell us about you. Tell us what you do for a living and what you do for passion. Nicolas, over to you.
Thank you very much, Joshua. That was quite an introduction. You got me beaming all the way. But I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be part of this. I really love emotional intelligence. I think it's one thing that will make the world a better place. My name is Nicolas Munza. I am a consultant. I deal in capacity building, management, development, mention it. And I'm also a leadership enthusiast. And I really love to see people move from one place to another, moving from a better place to a much better place and to a place that's much better for them in life. I am married. I have one child, and that child brings so much joy to my life. In other things that I do, I love developing people. My passion is developing people. My passion is working with people to gain a skill, to move from an undesirable point to a more desirable point, to give them a skill that will help them to actually live life in a much better way. So to sum that up, I think my passion is leadership. Another passion that I have, I also love sports. Especially, I play basketball and I love basketball very much. I don't think I will share more. Those two for now are overriding all the others. Thank you, Joshua.
Okay, we have a great leadership enthusiast, but also a sportsman. Who knew? Thank you so much, Nicolas, for that. And thank you for shedding a bit of light about you and your passion, and of course, telling us about your wonderful child. We love to meet her. All right. The next person that you want to meet is our courageous coach. Again, I like to say that it takes so much courage to help people develop courage to take on other things. So Dalton, over to you. The same question: your what you do for a living and what you do for passion.
Thanks, Joshua. Thanks for having me here. It's an honor to be on your channel, on your podcast. And it's an honor also to share the panel with you, Nicolas. We have a lot in common. Yeah, so this courageous coach thing, Joshua, this is more a reminder to myself than it is a promise, but I am fascinated by people with courage, and I have always been. I think courage is one of those things that is such an example of emotional intelligence. because you can be scared of doing something, but with the emotional intelligence, because there's a bigger purpose, something that you find really important, you show and display the courage of doing it anyway. So you're not you don't listen to this initial trigger of the fear, but you move beyond it and you're courageous. And I think that we all need a bit of courage in our lives in order to really get the most out of it. So yeah, we have to stand tall. So that's why I call myself a courageous coach. And that is what I do for a living. I am a coach, I'm a consultant. And the last couple of years have been very interesting, living in Africa and also working more with nomadic and indigenous wisdom. People who have been able to thrive for thousands of years in such harsh environments and really know how to change and to adapt on a daily basis. And this kind of wisdom brings us back to a certain simplicity, because we all live in quite complex lives and complex times at this moment. But with wisdom like that and with inspiration from people who really know what everybody contributes to the community, it really helps to create simplicity and complexity. So with that kind of wisdom and inspiration, we build programs for teams and for individuals. And courage is one of the values for many nomadic and indigenous tribes. So yeah, it is a theme. It's a theme in my work. And I really am trying to bring it out in myself on a daily basis and with the people I work with. So I work with people all over the world, in Rwanda, in East Africa, but also in Europe. And I really enjoy that. The world is big in a way, and in another way now with COVID and online working, it's also gotten a little bit small. My passion is, though, to explore new ways of thinking, to meet people who have certain new views. I love, I'm from Netherlands originally, for the people who don't know, and I live now in Rwanda. And actually, I should make a bit of, some advertisement for Rwanda. This is Rwanda, guys. Beautiful hills. Yeah, it's so pretty here. So I really enjoy being here. It's a beautiful place, spending time with friends in my free time. And again, it's about connecting to people, hearing their stories, knowing what they're passionate about, and having good conversations about the things that are important in life. That is what I love. Otherwise, I love music. I love studying and learning new things in the field of personal growth, and thinking about how I can use that again with people I work with. So it's that's it basically. I think that was a long enough introduction, Joshua, before we get away from the whole topic.
Yeah, I think to be fair, it's one of those things that I enjoy to listen to my panelists share with us, because it simply tells us a little bit more about my friends and what they enjoy to do, because that connects with my audience, that connects with the people that want to listen and learn from you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And also, I'm pretty much sure RDB and the rest of my Rwandan friends are happy that you can advertise for us and let the world know about the beautiful hills.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful country of 1,000 hills actually has to offer to your eyes. So thank you so much. Now, both of you, like I mentioned earlier on, quite enthusiastic about leadership. You are quite intentional about developing and improving your leadership qualities. As a matter of fact, both of you are members, have been to Toastmasters, and both of you are my Toastmasters friends. And that says a lot about your personal development and how you take your growth in leadership and, of course, the area of communication seriously. And that means that you could have been looking around and you probably have seen some leaders that you admire. And therefore, the qualities that they have that you say, these are two great qualities in a leader. So I'd like to put this question to you. I'll begin again with you, Nicolas. If you could tell us two qualities that you admire in a leader, that you feel if a leader could have these two qualities, for me, this is actually a very good start, and I admire this, and this is why. So I'd like to ask you, Nick, if you'd like to grace us with your two qualities of a great leader.
Thank you, Joshua. There is something that I'm still struggling with. And if I see it in somebody, I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I had that. One of the things is discipline and consistency. A leader that is disciplined and consistent really captivates me and motivates me, and I want to know how they do it. There are people that will do a thing and follow through up to the very end, and they do it consistently regardless of the situation. I've seen leaders like that have done that. And it's something that I want to get to. I am getting there, but I haven't fully gotten there. But the thing of discipline, being disciplined and 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 consistently doing what you have said you will do regardless of the situation without compromise. Then the character number two is a leader that has faith in people. There are leaders that I've seen that have trusted their followers even before they could get the quality that they want them to get. They see something in someone before they can even develop it. And then they go ahead and follow through to making this become a reality. Now, that kind of leader, I have seen a couple of them in different institutions that have trusted me with things that I haven't developed, and they have trusted me. And along the way, I have gone ahead to develop those kinds of abilities they want. And at the end of the day, they come and say, I saw this in you, and I knew you could do it. That kind of leader, really, I would love to follow, and I would love to learn more about how they do that. So the first one is discipline, being consistent in what they do, regardless of the situation. And the second one is having faith in people, even before they realize that they have the potential to actually produce what they desire of them. Those are my two.
Oh, thank you so much, Nicolas, because I totally agree with you. I admire a leader that is able to follow through. I have a friend of mine is actually on this, is watching along with us. My good friend Venus. I always admire his consistency and for me as a young person, I learn and admire that. And also I've also met people that have so much belief in people and somehow my friend Venus also happens to have this quality. He did not pay me to do some advertisement for him as a leader, but this is for sure. Having spent time with him is something that I've seen him to have, and many more. But thank you so much, Nicolas. I know the difference that can make in a person. Dalton, how about yourself, my friend?
Yeah, good question. I admire leaders who can inspire their people, who have the ability to connect what people do on a daily basis to the bigger goal and to the bigger picture of what the business, the organization, or the service is all about. And with every, yeah, maybe even every month or every change that's going on in the organization or in the world, that they know how to frame that and phrase that in a way that helps to connect people, to keep constantly connect people to the bigger goal. And I believe where people feel relevant, where they feel like, here, this is what I'm contributing to, and in this way, that is what brings a deeper level of motivation that is so important. So I really admire leaders who know how to do that. I think public speaking is important again there. So I love that, and I've seen it a few times. Even this week, I was impressed by a lady, a leader, a strategy director. She works in a public institution in Europe, and she recognizes her people are tired. They have been working extremely hard, and the effects at this moment are hard to see. And the way that she was talking about a program that we're going to run for her, and her biggest aim was to again connect everybody to the purpose and why they actually in the first place started this job, why they're in this field. And I believed her. The way she was talking about it, it was so engaging. And I'm sure that people will feel that again when she talks about that in that program. So I feel that that is a very powerful trait. And another one is a level of honesty. I think you need courage as a leader as well to say every now and then, guys, this is difficult. We're heading into a place and I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen. This and this is uncertain, and but this is what we're going to try, and this is why. And leaders who are able to have that kind of, who are real in that sense, I believe it builds a level of trust. And people who can buy into that and they know, they feel to be taken seriously. And I also think it's a strong trait, and it needs a level of courage. And it's one of those things that I've also seen people do that I really admire. I think it's not easy, and but very important. So there are many more traits that I admire, but at the moment these would be my top two, Joshua.
Thank you so much. Again, great traits in a leader: ability to galvanize a team, ability to inspire people around you, or people to jump on the big vision, or the big cause, and even what tiring is part of the journey of hard work, but getting back everyone to the true north and re-energizing everyone to get back and be energized. Ziglar is one of my go-to motivators. He says that motivation is like a morning bath. He says that they both last for a short time, but we need them every now and again. Every day we need to find motivation, and the leader that understands that definitely gets a lot of things done. And the level of honesty, I think honesty is the new cool, especially in the area of leadership, because the amount of trust that can build in the people around you, and the level of vulnerability that a leader is able to have with the team, it's one of those things that simply scores a leader very many points. And again, great qualities in a leader. So thank you so much, my wonderful friend. Again, to the people that are watching us from the other end of our conversation, thank you so much for powering the conversation. I can see some chats. Earlier on, I posted a question and asked you to share with us your top 2 qualities in a good leader. And I can see Della says that a leader who isn't afraid to admit he is wrong, or he's or her wrong. Someone that is not afraid to apologize. I think that also ties into a level of honesty. Della comes again to say the leader who appreciates people and calls out greatness from his followers or her followers. I think those are also great qualities. Venus says that thank you, Joshua, you're an inspiration person. Oh, thank you so much, Venus. I always love to have you around. I've already said how you've impacted me as a leader. Nawal is a lady that actually champions this conversation. She was here on this call and she says that, hello, I just got here. I hope I'm not very late. Truly, Nawal, you're not late at all, because the party is definitely about to begin. Now, my friends, we talked about the qualities that we admire in people, and I've definitely thought I can easily say that those are also one of my top 4 qualities. If I'm to be honest, the 4 qualities that you've shared here are qualities that I definitely admire in a leader. But there's another quality that is like a mother of all qualities, or that impacts other qualities in many ways. We've seen leaders that in terms of crisis especially, they quickly lash on the people around them. They quickly blame other people instead of themselves. They are quick to say comments that you say, does this person have friends? Or does this person know that he's working with people? We've had bosses or managers or even employers who say, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're going through. I need my work done. We've had people that have gone as far as saying that if you are if you are sick, you will be fired the next minute if you don't show up to my door. There's a lot of situations we've had, but we also found leaders that have qualities that people say, I want to follow this person. I want to be part of this person. There's a thing about this person that is human, that connects with me. And many people have said they attribute that to emotional intelligence. And this is a buzzword that in our 21st century times is around, and it's such a cool word now that everyone talks about, that you should have that, you should have that. And in my view, there is little opportunity for us to have a conversation like this and delve deeper and understand what emotional intelligence truly is. Now, Doughton, I wish to begin with you. What do you think, how would you explain emotional intelligence to a person that is being told this or is encountering this word or this name or this quality for the very first time, in your own words?
I think, to put it simply, it is the ability to handle your own emotions and those of others. And handling then means to understand them, to interpret them, and to use them. And I think, yeah, that would be a simple way of putting it. I think that the ability that you're able to handle those of your own emotions and thoughts as well, and the ability to then understand and handle those of others. And I believe it's so much related. The more you understand yourself, the easier it is also to understand others. That is a direct relation, and that's where it becomes interesting. And especially for leadership, as that is so much about trust, about relationships. So if you are able to build relationships, to use emotions, to understand other people, this is where you can really distinguish yourself as it comes to IQ and background and studies. That helps you to get perhaps in a certain starting point, but then emotional intelligence helps to make the difference as you grow.
So you've also given us an opportunity to look into the value of emotional intelligence, why you need to manage your emotions or your situation and manage your environment. Nicolas, you are also a sociologist, just like my good friend Dowdson. Do you have a similar opinion? Do you have a different view, or in your own words, how would you explain emotional intelligence?
I think she really nailed it. It's the ability to understand and manage your own emotions, but also those of the ones around you. And this can be done by controlling your emotion, expressing your emotions. It could be done by handling interpersonal relationships and knowing how far is too far, and knowing when somebody does this, what do they mean? When you get to know all the things, you can, but it all starts with you, because there's no way you are going to control others before you can control yours. In most cases, people that are not able to control others are people that are failing to control themselves. So, like she said, it's really the ability to understand and manage your emotions. And after that, you can be given, you can graduate to handling those emotions of those around you.
Well, that's an interesting perspective, by the way. I had not thought about the correlation in the way you guys have actually put it. That managing your own emotions gives you a better stand to even understand other people around you, to even attempt to control. But I also want to ask you, Doughton, you did talk about control, but some people might think that could be related to manipulation. Is that it could that be related to that? How would you answer a person that says, oh, so emotional intelligence is all about, yes, you know yourself and therefore manipulating other people? Could that be right? No?
It could be right. there is some truth to that. People who understand others very well and know how to influence them, they can use it for manipulation. It depends on the type of person you're dealing with. But in general, you need this in life. So, and I believe most people let's trust that most people are using that for the best intentions, because we all, as human beings, we want connection. We want to be understood, and the more we feel understood, the more peace of mind we sometimes can have. So yeah, there may be a relation, but that is the same with any other thing that somebody gets good at. They can use it for good, and they can use it for bad. And I would say let's focus on the positive. I don't know if how you view that yourself, Joshua or Nick.
Yeah, I don't know if Nick has something to add on that. I have my own opinion that I'll share immediately after Nick's. Yeah. It's not divided, really.
Well, talking about what you've said, I think the underlying word is really intention. Leaders, there are very many good leaders that are very charismatic. They know how to handle their emotions, and they know how to handle the emotions of others. Let's look at some leaders like Hitler. The guy would deliver a speech, and his intentions were very wrong, but he would motivate the people he's following, and he would get them to do what he wanted them to do. So emotional intelligence can be used for bad reasons, like Dawson said, like for bad reasons and for good reason. Any person who knows themselves very well and they can also be able to influence others are able to get results from those people that they are actually leading. But I would want to focus on the positive. And we believe that leadership is something that is meant for getting people from a less desirable place to putting them in a better place. So if a leader has good intentions, it's not control. I don't think it is manipulation. I think it is for the good of the people that they lead. And they use it in the best interest of the people that that follow them, in order for them to improve and become better people.
Well, I totally agree with you. Again, leadership is all about influence, isn't it? And the hope is that we are making positive influence. And whether it's cajoling you into doing the right thing, there's no blame to that, as long as the intentions are right and it's leading the people that are being led into the right direction. So yeah, I just wanted to clear that, because I want also to mention that qualities of leadership are weapons, are tools that we have. Communication, any other, honesty, all these are tools that are in your toolbox as a leader. And how you use them is totally up to you. And that's how we judge you. That's how we measure your life as a leader. And just like emotional intelligence, and our job here of this conversation is to equip you with as many tools as possible. And hopefully you as a leader will make the right decision. And of course, trust you as a leader to make the right decision, to lead your people, to lead your organization, to lead your life into something that is appreciated, that is positive. And maybe a quick stop and read a bit about what our friends are saying. The news says that thank you, both of you, Nick and Dalton. My first quality is being able to lead myself. Excellent. And the second is to model what I say. I think that's really awesome, Venus. Thank you so much. And Nawal says that my top two qualities of leadership are humility and assertiveness, ability to be humble, but then also go for it. Jen, thank you so much for being here. You're very much welcome once again. You say you're happy to be here. And then I asked a question about the two qualities that, how people would explain what emotional intelligence is. And then you say straightforward. It is the ability to understand and handle your own emotion and those of others. Then Edgar says, yes, indeed. I definitely, it definitely begins with you. I think he was alluding to the fact that it begins with the self-awareness and self-management before you can actually think about the rest. Jen comes back to say, being able to control your emotions as a leader according to your audience. Being aware of your audience is an ability that is could be linked to emotional intelligence. And then we have Venus asking a question but before we can go ahead, what is an emotion? What is an emotion? I'll give you guys a minute to think about that. And maybe you could share what you think in your own opinions. And then we have Pascal, my good friend Pascal. Thank you so much for being here. You say hello. And Nawal says, I think if intelligence is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge, thus emotional intelligence is the understanding of human emotions and how they impact our day-to-day lives. Absolutely, Nawal. Again, thank you so much for your wonderful views. Keep them coming. Again, if you're new to this platform, please consider subscribing so that you always get this information at your own disposal, so that we can also share this information with as many people as possible, because we believe that the tools of leadership are quite essential in developing our own leadership abilities. And if all of us could have great qualities in leadership, then we would have a better life, no doubt, and a world that is much better than we have today. So, my friends, Venus had a question that is quite interesting. What is an emotion? I think gets a little bit scientific, but listen, I'll give you guys an opportunity to attempt this one. Whoever is ready, please go for it.
Well, they say that life is 20% things that happen to you, and 80% the way you respond towards those events that happen to you. And emotions are really, they are feelings. They are feelings that are brought about by different circumstances. It could be your mood. It could be your interpersonal relationship with the people around you. It could be any event that could just affect and bring about certain feelings, feeling that you have or whatever that you have. So in most cases, it could be mood, depending on your personality trait, or for other people, it could be a body reaction that's going through your biology, or it could also be circumstances that have forced you to feel the way you feel. So an emotion is anything that's triggered by something within you and causes a change in the way you feel about a certain circumstance, about a certain person, about certain things. So that's how I can, in brief, explain it.
Dodson, do you have something to add on to that?
Maybe small. I think you explained that really well, Nicolas. Thanks. I think the word comes from energy in motion. So as people, we are all energy. Even our skin, everything is energy. And when you have an emotion, it's a certain energy that motions through your body, and it is the product of a thought. And that is, I think, something that many people don't know. What Nicolas started with, like 20% of life is what is happening, maybe to you or in your life, and 80% is what you make it mean. And your thoughts are about that. What do you make things mean? So let's say somebody is treating you a little bit rude, and your thought is, why is he rude to me? He's not supposed to be rude to me. I was very nice to him. And because of the way you think about what just happened, you get upset. So the thoughts produce the emotion, and that is a certain energy, and it's always changing. It never, no energy can stay for very long. Although that's not true. It can stay for quite long, and it can really become a trait, and then it can become your personality. where an emotion starts to become a mood, and then a mood becomes a personality trait. That is possible. That's why it's so important to be aware of what's happening. And that's why you need emotional intelligence to start to understand, hey, why am I upset? Was I right to interpret it like that? Could it have had another meaning? Could I think perhaps on, oh, this person must have been, maybe something happened that made him react in that way. It doesn't necessarily have to do with me. Okay, you start to give it a new meaning, and the emotion also starts to change. So the emotion is a product of thoughts and beliefs, and it is energy in motion. That would be my add.
Yeah, I think this is conversation. This another whole conversation we can have about understanding people's emotions and how they behave, what triggers emotions and all that. But thank you so much for attempting to help us understand the the definition of emotion, of an emotion, and you really touched it. You really touched it, Dalton. Quite important for us to have some self-awareness. And my next question to you is one directly related to that. You see, emotion intelligence has about 5 elements: the self-awareness, Dr. For self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation. We did talk about motivation, empathy, and social skills. Now, I want to ask you, how do you think any of these elements can improve a leader's ability to perform well, to be efficient, if we are able to score well in these elements? And feel free to share a few examples if you find any, and feel free to pick one or many. But maybe for the start, we can each one of us pick one, and then later on we can expound more in the time that we have. So I'll begin with you, Dalton. Do you want to find one quality or one element, sorry, and expand to us how you think it affects?
Okay. I had a bit of a wobble in the connection, Joshua, but I think I understood your question, to pick on one of the elements of emotional intelligence that I think is important for a leader. I think all of them are, but maybe that's not what you said. Maybe the starting point, I would say, is really self-awareness, because without that, there's so much less choice as to how you respond to things. And I think self-awareness is the starting point. And that may also be a little bit of a vague thing. I don't know if people know what it means. Probably many do. But if you've never heard of it, let's say how to... I think it is the ability to notice what you are feeling, and the ability to then label it. So in the example of that I just gave, to realize, hey, I got upset. And with self-awareness, you would be able to also think like, what made me upset? Why did I get upset? So without self-awareness, it's hard to change things, because you don't even know what you're feeling, perhaps, and you don't understand why you reacted in a certain way. So I think for a leader, in the importance of building trust with other people, with leading other people, inspiring other people, and creating people that want to follow you. For that purpose, you need to understand what motivates them and who they are. So that awareness and understanding is the starting point, I believe. So if your staff would not be motivated, if you don't have awareness, self-awareness or understanding of emotional intelligence, it becomes very hard to choose a new direction or to change anything. So self-awareness increases your choice, really, your options. So if you say, like, would you pick one? I would say, let's start there, because without that, it's hard to do anything else.
And maybe to follow on that, how does a leader's lack of self-awareness impact their outcomes and even the people around them?
Okay. I have an example in mind of somebody I worked with maybe 2-3 years back. it was somebody who was in a shared CEO position, two directors. He was one of the directors, and he had a very, very negative outlook on life, on himself, on his staff, he wouldn't trust people. And I think he was so used to it, it felt to me that he was so used to it that he didn't even realize that how this was eating him. He was stressed, he was tired, people feared him, and people were also scared to step up and take responsibility, because he would always find the mistakes and he would always know how to point them out. And I could see that he did not realize the effect of that. And so with a lack of that self-awareness, you can be so frustrated because the world isn't working the way you want it to, but you lack the understanding of what it is that is it in your own way of viewing things, and what it is in the behavior of the people around you. If you would see it a bit visually, look, let's say you're heading towards the sunshine, and with low emotional intelligence or low self-awareness, you feel like this is the path because this is how I do things. So this is my route to get there. Now you start suddenly other people are doing things in a bit different way, or they don't understand what you mean, or they don't listen in that same way. And you start seeing them roaming around and you're like, come on, we have to do it this way. We have to be on this path. You become frustrated and you don't understand why things are outside of your own small path. And with self-awareness and with emotional intelligence, you're able to see, oh, they are there because they're thinking this or because they need that. Let's move with them, that sense, and bring them back to the goal. So you're able to notice and to understand, and then to use your language to make a broader path and get people back in the right direction. Was I actually answering your question, Joshua? I feel like I'm going a bit off track of my path.
I feel like we were heading there, and that particular example of a person that you worked with as a leader, if you don't know some of your abilities and also mastering your emotions and how that can actually impact yourself and others, it's in a way it puts you in an awkward situation because you're not even in control of your reactions. And I believe that has a significant impact if it's not controlled. Yeah. Nicolas, I did ask this open-ended question, or perhaps I gave you a big basket full of mangoes or orange or fruits to pick from, because there are about five elements of emotional intelligence. And all of them are quite vast. And Doughton did talk about self-awareness, and in no way can we exhaust these on this limited time that we have. But how about yourself? If you're to choose one of those 5 elements, maybe self-awareness aside, because Doughton has talked about it, what could it be, and how do you think that impacts one's leadership journey?
Thank you, Joshua. And I think she did good justice to self-awareness. But I cannot go any further or pick from the ones further, because this is like, it starts from stage 1 going on to stage 5. So I'll go straight to the next one, which is self-regulate. After you've known who you are, after you've identified what your emotions are, what your personality traits are, your conscious level, all that, then you start to self-regulate. Self-regulate, now it's like now you have built a house, you've got the house, the model you want, now you are going to put a fence. You're going to put boundaries. There are things you cannot do beyond that boundary. You start to get self-control. You start to self-regulate. And a leader who does not, they say that if you stand for nothing, you will fall for everything. Mm-hmm. And for sure, if you have known yourself, then Self-regulation is the implementation stage of now saying, I, as Nicolas, I believe in this. There are values that I cannot pass. There are things that I cannot do without. Now, knowing your values will help you regulate yourself. If you ask me about Joshua Tahinduka, and you're telling me something that I know is totally opposite in what I know Joshua believes, I'll say, no, 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 no. You want to try that? It won't work out. Why? Because I have known your values. I know how you self-regulate yourself. I know the values that you have. So as a leader, you need to have values that govern you. In that, if anyone wanted to take you in a certain direction, you say, look here, I do not believe that. Then the second one is you should hold yourself accountable. If you believe in something and you say, look here, I believe in this and I'm going to make sure that I achieve this. If you really believe that you want to achieve that, how are you going to achieve it? You have to be accountable. Hold yourself accountable. If you have goals you are supposed to finish, hold yourself accountable. Then also you need to learn to practice calmness, because many times emotions get us unprepared. What we need in case I'm sure we all have our work and we have bosses that may not be as desirable as we want. You have to practice calmness many times, because there are some bosses that are very frustrating. He'll come and treat you like a nursery kid, and you need to now practice calmness and self-control. So self-regulation starts with values, starts with you controlling yourself, and continues to you being able to handle the steam that's coming to you, the stress that's coming to you, and being able to control it and calm down, and then make sure you respond after you have really thought about something, rather than letting the emotions actually do the talking. Because I realize that sometimes we make decisions that are permanent based on temporary emotions or temporary situations. You find that you've made a long-term decision based on an emotion, based on a temporary condition. Today, your boss probably speaks to you badly and you want to throw in the towel, yet it's something that's manageable. So self-regulation means that you know who you are, you know how far you can be stretched, and you know how far you can handle. Thank you, Joshua.
Thank you so much, Nick. And we did talk about that discipline is one of the qualities you love in a leader. And clearly, you're quite disciplined in your identification of great qualities. So thank you so much. Both of you have tackled about two qualities that a person should have. And it's interesting because I don't know if it's coincidental, I don't know if it's that fundamental that you both talk about self-awareness and self-regulation, because these are inward, these are things that we have as these are qualities or elements that we have as individuals. Then before we can import our leadership into other, or export our leadership into other people, our views, then we are able to say we are in a good place as leaders. So quickly, I like to ask you, therefore, there are three other elements that now could be a leader's reflection on other people, and that is motivation, empathy, and social skills. And maybe we could talk about empathy. Why is empathy so important an element for a leader? Dalton.
Oh, it's an important element for a human being, I would say, Joshua. But for a leader specifically, I think without empathy, it will be hard to inspire them, to perhaps direct people, or to know the right way of getting their potential out. Without empathy, it will be hard to understand them and to know what they need in order to grow. with empathy, you could begin to understand what are their barriers, what may be their limiting beliefs, what may be the things that they're scared of, or that they need from me in order for me to get that out or to take that away and to help them grow. I think everybody knows that expression of put yourself in somebody else's shoes, which is such a good tool, practice method for practicing empathy, right? So if you are a leader and you have your doubts about maybe one of your staff members, like, they're not delivering in the way that I expected them to. With empathy, you can start to ask questions. With empathy, you can start to ask the right questions of what could it be that holds someone back, or that they would need from you, and without empathy, you just judge. I think that is what happens without empathy too soon. So it is so incredibly important to connect to people and to build mutual trust and respect and influence. That is what you need empathy for. And I'll probably think of a few more better explanations after this, because it's such a big topic, right? It is such a big word as well. And at the same time, so fundamental for everybody in our daily life. Yeah.
Well, thank you. So I totally agree with you. I think we all agree that empathy is such a great human need, that we all want to be understood. We all want to be considered and listened to, and the ability for a leader to have that and give that to the people. It also is just like, in fact, I think empathy is such a generator of trust. And if we all know that this person has my best interest at heart, and especially a leader, then you probably trust them, and you do so much in return, especially in terms of how that motivates you to follow such a leader. Now, Nick, I know you are also very big and you speak largely about empathy, but I'm not going to give that opportunity to talk about empathy. We still have two more, and I like you to talk about social skills. There is a thing that leaders are supposed to be tough, are supposed to be gloomy, and as you earlier on mentioned, maybe at any given opportunity, back to people so that they can actually get into their senses and do the right thing. But how important are social skills for a leader?
Thank you, Joshua. I'll start with a story.
Sure.
There is this story about a samurai. This samurai went to ask a monk, and he approached the monk and asked him, what is heaven and what is hell? And this monk looked at him and he said, I cannot waste my time on you. What do you want to know about heaven and hell? And the samurai was offended. He reached his sheath and pulled out the sword. And then the monk said, that there is hell. And then the samurai took back the sword and apologized. And then he pointed at him again and said, that there is heaven. And he kept quiet. Now, that kind of being able to communicate something without much explanation, being able to control someone's actions to either do something wrong or something good, because this can be used either way. It's a two-edged sword. Some people that want to do bad things, actually, they go and learn human sciences to know how to control people. But also we are not interested in that. We are interested in leaders that want to move people from a certain point to another, to develop people in terms of skills and in terms of their well-being. So social skills Very important. We live in a community where we cannot live alone like an island. We live with people. And with people, I think we admit that human beings are conflict-torn animals. If there is interaction, there is always conflict. There's a Kinyarwanda proverb that says, I think it says, it refers to the cattle. If they live together, they will always pierce themselves with their own horns. Or something like that. Basically, with social skills, it calls for a leader to be able to control conflict. There is a skill that is needed in social skills for conflict resolution. It's very important for a leader to sit and not judge based on one side. If you are a leader in any institution or in any society, you will have to sit and not receive one report from one side and then make a judgment. You have to listen to both reports. I have a friend of mine, he's an old man. He gave me a testimony of when he was still working. He said that he had this person, a subordinate, who would bring words and talk about people and tarnish people and create information that's not there. Now, this old man gave him ear as he wrote down everything. He gave him ear, wrote down everything. He said, okay, thank you for the information. He went. The next morning, he called him. He asked him, what were you telling me yesterday? He repeated the same things. He said, okay. He went to his desk. He called the person they were talking about. And he called him, he sat him in front of him and told this guy, please explain what you were talking about this gentleman. And this guy started sweating. He started looking up and down. And then he did not explain. So he got whatever he wrote and he said, okay, it seems he's shy to say this. Let me read for you what he told me. He read everything that he said. And then at the end of it, he said, didn't you tell me this? So he's here. Now, I'm not going to finish the story, but this is the kind of conflict resolution we are talking about. This is a kind of skill that will be able, because we, as leaders, we lead people that have ulterior motives. We lead people that want to destroy others. We lead people that have motives of climbing the ladder by destroying others. We need to know how to control conflict. Conflict resolution is one of the social skills that a leader should have. A leader should also be able to communicate. Communication is very, very important. In fact, communication is the lifeblood of society. If there is no communication, there is nothing that will be accomplished. A good leader is a leader that will make sure they understand the information before they can pass it on to their subordinates. And if they have finished, and after they have finished passing on the information, they'll ask for questions. They ask for clarification. Sometimes a leader will be caught repeating themselves. Why? Because the attention span of people is not always consistent. You'll have to repeat something over and over and over again, especially if it relates to vision and mission of the institution. Right now, we have very many people in institutions that don't even know the mission and vision of the institutions they are serving. Am I wrong? Because we've trained people and we ask them, okay, who can stand up and tell us the vision of their company? And they all start looking down, or they start looking on their phone to look for those visions. A leader is someone who will communicate this day in, day out, that it becomes a lifeblood of the people that work in that institution. Lastly, a leader is one that praises. Have you ever had a boss that never says a thing when you do your work well? Never. Like, you do your work so well, he really sees, and you can see on the face he's really appreciating, but he'll never say thank you. But you just make a mistake. My goodness. You're like, where did this lion come from? Now, a good leader has social skills of being able to encourage, being able to praise, being able to uplift his employees. And these social skills, you don't know how much people are going to say, that leader I had, I wish I have today. And I have had such leaders that have had such social skills. Some I made grave mistakes that they owned to their bosses. And I felt like I was indebted to them. You make a mistake, they clean it up without consulting you. And after they've cleaned it up, they come and sit with you and they say, what did you do? But they've already put out the fire. So such social skills. I can go on and on, but I don't want to go on and on because I have many stories. But such social skills that can make someone loved, make someone feel loved, make someone feel valued. This is what we call leadership.
Thank you so much. There's so much we can talk about each of these elements. Again, it's important, and thank you so much, Venus, for reminding me that these 5 elements are by Daniel Goleman. There are many other authors that have actually suggested different elements, and for particularly this conversation, we focused on the 5 elements of emotional intelligence as suggested by Daniel Goleman. And Venus also reminded us that these are actually by a gentleman that was able to demonstrate how emotional intelligence matters much more than IQ, because in the last century, there was so much about IQ and people being measured based on the IQ. And there's so much research out there that talks about that emotional intelligence counts so much more. And also research out there that say that generally the IQ, the global IQ of many, many people does not have a very big disparity. But when it comes to emotional intelligence, it actually has a big disparity. But you know what? The comparison is a story for another day. And clearly, in fact, our time is well spent. And I simply want to thank each and every one of you. I'm going to quickly read through the comments before we can wrap up. I think thank you so much, Della. You say that self-awareness is actively seeking to understand yourself by looking in on the inside of you. And Ashil Songa, my good brother, says self-awareness, I think, is knowing who you are, your character, and managing your character. And then the news comes back and reminds us earlier on of the conversation about manipulation. And he says, you know what? Actually, leaders that manipulate lack emotional intelligence. He gives an example of people like Hitler, who did not have very good IQ and rather depended on dictating and threatening people's lives. And then a few of you have Nawali. Nawali has said, has also given us a definition about self-awareness, and says it's more about knowing the environment around you and how you respond to it. And in the long run, you understand who you truly are. And I think we've had different approaches about it, and people have actually said you rather first know about yourself and then your environment will come next. But who cares? Just make the rules as long as they are good rules to go by. Venus also says that those insights remind him of how the health is directly related to our EQ. EQ being emotional coefficient or emotional intelligence, if you like. And so the higher your emotional intelligence, the better your health. The poorer your emotional intelligence is, that can actually lead to blood pressure, ulcers, headaches, and so much more. In fact, cancer is on that list as well. So it's very important for us to spend time and understand and develop our emotional intelligence side things. And I asked earlier on, what do you think one quality, if you were to have one element? And Della and many of you agree that surely we should have all the 5 elements because they come together and create a whole. That was very good. Thank you so much. Again, Faith, I can see by Faith, again, you're able to join us. Thank you so much. My friends, I wish we had so much time to respond to all your questions. Venus has a wonderful question. I will keep your question, Venus, next week, in 2 weeks' time, sorry. We will have another part. We have part 2 of emotional intelligence for leadership. And we will answer this question, Venus, and we'll answer many more questions. I really encourage you to tune in again in 2 weeks' time, same place, same time, so that we can continue this conversation. Clearly today, we only scratched the surface so that we can have a little bit of the start of the conversation today. And then in the next 4 weeks, we'll also take time to dig deeper into this particular theme of emotional intelligence. Again, I want to ask you, if you're new here, kindly subscribe to this channel so that you can always get up-to-date information and reminders whenever we are online. My friends, we have come towards the tail end of our conversation. I'd like to ask you, each one of you, 1 minute to give your parting shots and conclusions as we call this a wonderful evening. I'll begin with you, Nick. I started with you, so I'll begin with you. I'll end with you, sorry. Sorry, I start with you, jeez. Okay.
Thank you, Joshua. This has been exciting. What I want people to know is that no one is born with emotional intelligence. It's something that we develop. And it's important to really work on self-awareness, because when we start with ourselves, it's easier to know your personality traits, and then know other things like your conscious. What level is your conscious? Because what happens to you can be interpreted the wrong way if your conscious is still low and you need to work on it. But in a nutshell, all I want to say is this world today needs people that have emotional intelligence. At work, in business deals, leadership without it is not leadership. It's something else that is close to leadership. So other than that, all I can say is that I'm looking forward to the next 2 shows that are going to elaborate more on emotional intelligence. And I think it's too big. It cannot be unraveled in 2 or 3 shows. But I'm grateful to be part of this one. Thank you very much, Joshua.
Thank you so much, Nicolas, for spending time and blessing us with your wisdom and your experience on this one. Your stories are always exciting and wonderful. Dalton, how about you as we conclude this evening?
Yeah, I'm sad to conclude, man. So much more to talk about. And yeah, first of all, my congrats to you, my friend, for having such an amazing new initiative again. That is so exciting and so important. So thank you for bringing this to people's homes on a Sunday evening. Maybe one last thing for the people who listen, who are wondering, now how can I start developing this if I want to grow my own emotional intelligence more or my self-awareness? And I think maybe not easy thing to do because you have to be mindful of it, but on the other hand, it is a very powerful thing. To try to label every now and then, to check in with yourself, how do I feel at this moment? And try to label it. Hey, I'm restless, I'm frustrated, well, I'm happy, I'm excited. And by starting to recognize what you feel, that's the first step of then trying to think, okay, why do I feel this way? Or what made me feel this way? And that's why you're starting to already grow and to detach yourself a little bit from that first feeling, because it can hijack you if you're not aware of it. And then you will have your automatic emotional responses to what is happening. But if you can label it like, oh, I got upset there, I got frustrated, I'm frustrated, it allows you to take a little bit of distance and do something different with it than you maybe would before. So that is a simple thing that you can try to do every day, a few times a day. You could even set a reminder on your phone every couple of hours. How do I feel? Check in, notice, label, register, and learn from it and get to know yourself more. That is what I would throw in there, and I look very much forward to following your next episodes. And thanks for having me here.
Oh, thank you so
Goodie.
much, my friend.
Mm.
What a joy to have both of you here. I have longed to have both of you, and I'm so glad that tonight we're able to make it. And to my wonderful audience on the other side, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. The truth is, we have no show without you. If there was no person to listen to our sharings, listen, this would not have any sense. So thank you so much for being part of this wonderful journey. You are potentially and by far the most important piece into this whole structure. And therefore, having you out there makes the whole difference. And I just want to encourage you, tune in next episode, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time. And let's continue this conversation, because I believe that this is going to be something that could add value to you and perhaps improve or increase your knowledge about the particular theme. Because clearly, as many of you have actually suggested, it's such an important topic to talk about, and also skill to develop. The news has actually shared some critical information. These things are not to be taken lightly. It could actually be a difference between you contracting a complication or anything. Emotions are quite complex, and therefore that's why it's important for us to take time and understand them. And let us do this in favor of us. It's time for you to advance. It's time for you to do things differently and better. And I think it begins with you understanding who you are. So we are very grateful for you and for being part of this conversation. Again, if you're new here, the Speaker's Pulse is simply a home to conversations of public speaking and leadership, a place where we actually openly discuss things that we think are mattering to leaders just like you and myself. So if you think you're part of the leadership community and the communication/leadership enthusiast, my friend, this is your place. So smash the subscribe button and stay in touch so that we can always hear from you, and you also will hear from us. Again, if you want to share some of views, we have our social media, we're on Facebook, we are on Twitter, and also on the flyer, there is my number that you can actually reach out to and reach out to me with your feedback and say, we like your show, we like this, and we also like you to talk about this. If you have any particular topic you want us to discuss and unravel in depth, we also try to listen to you. We will definitely consider that, and we bring to you experts and people that will actually help us to dissect the particular topic. Until we meet again, my friends, in 2 weeks' time, may God watch over you, take good care of yourselves, and see you soon. And this is going to still be here, which is the Speaker's Pulse, my friend. Have a wonderful week ahead, and may this wonderful night be good to you as well. Thank you, and see you in about 2 weeks' time.